Brutal haunting tales alone in the woods at midnight. The shocking truth revealed. The night was darker than a crow's wing, thick with heavy shadows that tangled among the gnarled trees, as if the forest itself was guarding its own sinister secrets. Out there, deep in the wilderness, something twisted awaited. The air buzzed with unease, sending chills darting down spines. A figure stumbled into the clearing, their breath, ragged eyes wide, heart pounding. Just moments ago, they were lured by whispers, soft like a lover's caress, promising stories of the eerie and the unknown. Yet now, feeling the stares of unseen eyes, it was clear. Some tales are better left untold. The moon hung high, casting ghostly light on the cracked earth, illuminating patches of mist that curled and danced. Strange sounds echoed through the trees, a rustle like dry leaves combined with distant, haunting laughter that didn't belong to the living. It was these very sounds that drove many to the brink of madness. Tales of wanderers who entered these woods but never returned cursed. They said, by the spirits still seeking closure. What horrors lay beneath the twisted roots? What shadows danced just beyond reach? As the figure stepped further into the clearing, a pulse of energy wrapped around them. A heart-stopping sensation, like ice water flooding through veins. An ancient symbol carved into one of the trees glimmered in the moonlight, a spiral intertwined with bones, marking the spot where secrets were buried, where loss mingled with despair. The woods whispered secrets that no human ear should ever hear. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. The trees seemed to lean in closer, their branches shaking like bony fingers reaching out. A hollow silence enveloped the area, and then a cracking sound like the breaking of dreams echoed from the darkness. The ground trembled beneath them, releasing long-buried secrets, old enough to frighten a ghost back to its grave. Suddenly, the laughter returned, closer now, echoing around the clearing. Who was playing games with shadows? Was it the forest feeding on fear, or something more sinister lurking just out of sight? The night was still, holding its breath, while hearts raced an answer just beyond the reach of sanity. A sudden gust swept through the clearing, whispering through the branches as if trying to warn the figure. They took a trembling step back, instinctively drawn away from the gnarly trees that loomed like ancient sentinels. The laughter was louder now, a cacophony of voices overlapping each other, each one chillingly distinct. It rolled through the night like thunder, echoing off the bark and filling the air with a sense of impending doom. Their pulse thundered in their ears, but curiosity clawed at them. Dozens of stories flitted through their mind, tales of lost souls, of darkness that enveloped the unworthy. This was the moment they had sought, the pinnacle where fear and truth collided. Yet standing in that clearing, they felt a flicker of doubt creeping in. Was it too late to turn back? Around them, shadows writhed and stretched, melding with the mist that snaked through the trees. A chill swept down their spine, gripping their throat like a vice. And then, out of the depths of the blackness, a figure emerged. Tall, ethereal, and indistinct, it flickered in and out of view, like a television set struggling to find a signal. Panic clawed at them. They wanted to run, to escape the unknown. Yet something kept them rooted in place. Why have you come? A voice echoed, a blend of many, reverberating like a mournful choir. It pierced through the haze, fetid and ancient. The figure raised its arms, revealing a cloak that resembled cobwebs draped over bone. Those hollow eyes locked onto theirs, demanding answers, a mix of desperation and sorrow radiating from the spectral form. I wanted to know, the figure stammered, the darkness threatening to swallow them whole. About the tales about the lost. Silence weighed down the air, thick and heavy. Then the figure shifted, a tortured smile curling at the corners of its mouth. You seek the truth, it said, voice dripping with malice and mirth. But some truths are best left undiscovered. The forest hungers for you now. You are part of the stories whether you wish it or not. In a dizzying flash, the ethereal being raised a gnarled finger and pointed toward the ancient symbol carved into the tree. The ground gave a violent shudder, a pulse of energy radiating outward. The earth itself twisted and contorted, unveiling a dark mouth below, wide and hungry. Join them, the spectral figure intoned, as if beckoning from a grave. Without thinking, the figure bolted, heart racing as fear propelled them into the thick woods. Branches clawed at their skin. The laughter escalated behind them, playful and sinister. There was no escaping the sound, pushing them deeper into the labyrinth of trees, where every twist in the path felt deliberate, leading them away from safety and toward their doom. Suddenly, the laughter stopped. Silence enveloped them, drawing tight like a noose. The chilling realization settled in something was lurking just ahead, waiting for them. As the figure emerged into another clearing, breathless and terrified, they froze. Before them lay an enormous expanse, but something in the moonlight caught their eye. There amidst the suffocating darkness stood an array of tombstones, faded and cracked, each one whispering stories of those who never returned. What awaited them in this graveyard of lost souls? The question hung heavy in the air, filling the figure with dread as they stepped forward, every instinct screaming to turn back. But as they crossed the threshold, whispers began anew, and the ghosts, hungry for story, stirred in the night. What truly happened to those who were once lost in this abysmal place? What secrets lay entwined within the carvings on the tombstones? The figure stood paralyzed, eyes wide and heart racing. Graves stretched out endlessly before them, each one telling a story that begged to be heard. The air thickened with anticipation and dread. They took a hesitant step forward. The moonlight bathed the gravestones in an eerie glow, illuminating names etched hastily into the stone names that seemed to fade with every heartbeat. Each stone exuded a sense of loss, a connection to lives that had slipped away, lost within this cursed forest. Would they join that list? The thought sent shivers down their spine. A breeze swept through the clearing, stirring the leaves and carrying faint echoes of laughter, now transformed into a mournful wail. The figure's mind swirled with images of those lost faces twisted in agony, souls crying out for recognition. They could feel the weight of generations of secrets pressing against them. What if they discovered something they were never meant to know? Quivering, they reached out to touch one of the tombstones. The surface felt cold and damp against their fingertips, sending a jolt of ice through their veins. As they traced the carving of a name, Elena, the whispers intensified. They warped into a chorus, overlapping and chaotic, as if the spirits were fighting to be heard. Help! One voice pleaded, full of desperation. Don't believe them, shouted another. The cacophony spiraled, a haunting melody that wrapped around them like chains. Their stomach twisted in knots, a mix of horror and intrigue flooding their senses. Why are you here? The question rose from within, an uncontainable urge to seek answers. The ground shook again. Dust and dirt cascaded around their feet, and the earth groaned as if waking from a long slumber. The figure stumbled back, eyes darting, desperate to escape the unsettling atmosphere. But then they saw it movement in the corner of the clearing. A shadow detached itself from the woods, a shape materializing from the darkness. It was another figure, closer this time. Their heart raced with hope and terror, each beat echoing in their ears. Please, it whispered, voice fragile and broken. Help us. They stepped forward, caught between the fear of what lay behind the voice and the promise of revelation it hinted at. Help you? Who are you? They trembled, the urge to flee battling against an insatiable curiosity. As the figure drew nearer, they could see its features, hollow cheeks, eyes sunken deep like tunnels leading to oblivion. Despite the grotesqueness, there was a haunting beauty to it, an undeniable sadness that twisted their heart. Find the truth, the figure gasped, wheezing as it fell to its knees at the base of a particularly ornate grave, its hands clawing at the earth as if desperate to unearth something buried deep. Unlock the stories or we will be lost forever. The aura around the grave began to glow, pulsing like a heartbeat. A crack appeared, spreading outward from the stone, revealing a dark void. Cold sweat trickled down the figure's brow. They were captured by the sight. The swirling abyss seemed to promise everything they sought, yet threatened to crush them under the enormity of its secrets. With one last desperate glance at the pleading, wretched soul before them, they took a deep breath and stepped closer to the crack. The whispers soared to a fever pitch, drowning out their thoughts. Would unlocking the truth save them, or would it seal their fate alongside the lost souls of the graveyard? As they moved closer, a sense of dread washed over them. And then, just as the darkness beckoned, a piercing scream shattered the air, vibrating through their bones. What lay beyond the abyss? What truth had the night kept hidden? The answers were just out of reach, swirling and relentless. As darkness awaited, the air pulsed with tension as the piercing scream echoed, pulling the figure back from the edge of the abyss. Heart pounding in their chest, they spun around, eyes wide, searching for the source of the anguished cry. The shadows danced like a wild tapestry, each flickering light casting treacherous shapes on the ground. Panic clutched at their throat, constricting breaths that came short and sharp. "Who's there?" they called out, voice trembling. Silence followed, suffocating and heavy. The only sound was their heartbeat, loud in their ears, echoing with fear. The figure before the grave stayed motionless, and a heavy realization sank in like a stone. Whatever lay beneath the cracked grave was not just a secret. It was a tether to the past, a link to those who whispered for help. But would unveiling it bring liberation or doom? Desperation clawed at them. They had to know more. "Please." It was the wretched figure again, the broken words creeping slowly through the dim light. "You can't leave. Not now." With trembling hands, the figure reached again for the glowing crack. This time they hesitated, wrestling with a growing doubt. The chorus of whispers gathered strength, swirling like a tempest. "Unlock the stories," they urged, impossibly loud, drowning out all other thoughts. Drawing a shuddering breath, they leaned closer to the crack. Tendrils of darkness reached out, as if alive, brushing against their skin, cold and electric. A shiver raced down their spine, yet still, curiosity pulled them inward. "Don't do it." The voice was desperate, raw. With one swift motion, they peeled back the top layer of soil with their fingers, the gritty earth slipping through their grasp. The glow intensified as the grave began to yield its secret, light illuminating strange symbols carved into the stone, an ancient language, filled with warning. Suddenly the shadows shifted again. The wind howled, louder now, carrying with it a sense of urgency. "Find the heart," a voice cried, joined by the others, echoing in unison. "It will reveal the truth." Frantic, they dug deeper, hands trembling as they clawed away earth, feeling the coolness rise. The whispers danced around them, weaving in and out like a forgotten melody. Just as their fingers brushed against something hard, a frantic pulse thumped in time with their own racing heart. They stopped, breath caught in their throat. Could this really be it? Then came the scream again, this time more thunderous, shaking the very ground beneath them. They stumbled back, eyes fixed on the grave. The void widened, the darkness writhing with insatiable hunger. No longer was it inviting. It felt like a creature ready to devour their very essence. "Help!" the figure wailed, collapsing again, its bony hands clutching at air. "You must." The glow flickered, dimming, the whispers now a frenzied rush, a tide of voices crashing against their sanity. "Time is running out," they pleaded, desperate, heart racing. The figure gulped down the fear threatening to choke them. Just as doubt began to creep in, little rays of hope sparked with the thought of saving not only the restless souls but perhaps themselves as well. "Tell me what to do," they shouted, the words bursting from their lips, echoing in the night. "What is the heart? Where is it?" A deathly silence followed, and the figure before them looked up, eyes wide with fear and dread, as the answer trembled on the edge of revelation. "The truth lies within the darkness," it whispered, breathless, But at what cost? And just like that, the glow vanished, leaving the clearing shrouded in an unsettling stillness. The figures surrounding the grave faded, their whispers dissolving into silence as shadows crept forward, devouring the moonlight. What had they unleashed, and what lay hidden within that dark void? The cool breath of the night brushed against their skin as they stared into the encroaching abyss, filled with dread and possibility. Would they step into the darkness or retreat? The truth hung before them like a forgotten promise. Waiting, the breath caught in their throat, a lump the size of a fist. The night air felt charged, suffocating under the weight of anticipation and dread. What now? Should they retreat, or push deeper into the abyss? Echoes of the past clawed at their mind, a swirling storm of fear and hope. Each heartbeat felt like a countdown, taunting them. "You can't leave," the figure had said, its hollow eyes pleading. But what could they do? This was no longer a simple grave. It was a gateway, a clash of worlds brewing just below the surface. Tentatively, they shifted closer, the shadows surrounding them stretching like fingers reaching out for a grasp. Sweat trickled down their back, icy and unsettling. In that moment, doubt gnawed at their resolve. Could they truly face whatever lay hidden? The whispers morphed into an urgent chant, almost intoxicating in their fervor. The heart, find it. With a fierce determination igniting within, they knelt again, hands digging into the cool, damp earth. The darkness felt alive and hungry, but they pressed on, scraping away clumps of soil. Each handful that fell away seemed to reveal pieces of a puzzle buried deep in time. As their hands worked with desperation, the air transformed. Something shifted, a sensation like electricity sparking at the base of their spine. The glowing crack pulsed once more, the symbols etched in stone blazing vividly. A sense of purpose surged, a clarity forming amidst the chaos. They needed to keep digging. There was no turning back now. Just as their fingertips brushed against the edge of a hard object, a voice broke through the sudden tension. "You have to be careful." It was a sharp warning, cutting through the chanting whispers. Panic surged again, but there was no looking back. "Who's there?" they shouted. The shadows seemed to swirl and twist, almost mocking their fear. The dim light flashed, illuminating a figure, one that bore a striking resemblance to the one that had drawn them here. "What do you want?" "You're not ready," the figure screamed, its voice echoing with the weight of 1,000 tomorrows. "It will take you. Let it go." But those warnings were drowned out by the insistent whispers, rising in urgency and panic. Without thinking, they grasped at the object buried in the dirt, pulling it free. It faced them, the heart of the grave, a pulsating, warm orb that throbbed with a life of its own. Courage and fear mingled in a swirling tempest within. It felt familiar somehow, like a part of their own story intertwined with everyone else's whispered secrets. Gripping it tight, they could feel it beat, sync with their own heart. A surge of power flooded through them for a fleeting moment, a flicker of understanding brightening the dark corners of their mind. But the figure lunged forward, panic etched on its face. "No, you don't know what you're unleashing." The heart pulsed faster, and the clearing trembled violently. Shadows writhed, twisting and turning as if trying to escape. The whispers crescendoed into screams, urgent and horrifying. What had they awakened? Adrenaline coursed through their veins, heart racing as a horrific thought flashed across their mind. The truth they sought was intertwined with a darkness they never understood, and now they held the key. Would they unlock the secrets or seal their own fate? The shadows encircled them, ready to strike, as reality blurred. In that moment of intense terror, clarity hit them. What lay ahead would not only reveal the truth but the horrific consequences of every choice made. "Please stand back," they yelled desperately, grasping the heart. A new horror began to unfold, teasing before them as the shadows tightened their grip. What would they summon in those final moments? And would they survive to tell the tale? As the ground shook beneath them and the air thickened with danger, the darkness yawned wide, waiting for their decision. The heart throbbed violently in their grasp, and the shadows around them began to twist and contort. The screams echoed louder, a cacophony of despair clawing at their sanity. Each pulse of the heart sent ripples of energy through the ground, responding to its ancient power. "Don't you understand?" The figure shouted over the tumult, desperation painted across their face. "This isn't just a heartbeat. It's a curse. You can't control it." With every throb, the earth shook, and the whispers morphed into howls. The air reeked of damp earth and panic. It was suffocating, oppressive. They could feel the weight of every soul that had been trapped here, the forgotten cries of those who had come before them. "Let it go. Let it breathe," the figure pleaded, their voice cracking. But how could they let go when the heart felt like a part of them? The choice twisted inside, battling against the primal urge to survive. Suddenly, the heart ignited, bathing the clearing in a blinding light. For a moment, they were suspended in time, the shadows fading away as they glimpsed something else, a glimpse of what might be if they could harness its power. Visions flooded their mind. A world freed from torment, but then darkness clawing back, hungry to reclaim what was rightfully its. "Do it. Take a stand," the voice inside them urged, igniting the courage they didn't know they possessed. They took a step forward, heart racing, determination surging. But the shadows sensed their resolve and launched at them, writhing like serpents, cold and unyielding. They felt fingers, icy and incorporeal, grasp at their limbs, pulling them down as if trying to drag them back into the depths of despair. Panic spiked in their chest, and they swung the heart like a weapon. With a deep breath, they shouted, "I won't be your puppet anymore." The heart exploded with light, a shockwave radiating outward. Shadows howled, recoiling as the illumination pierced the darkness. For a moment, the world was a kaleidoscope of colors, vivid and powerful, as though every unraveling thread of fear transformed into threads of hope. But then, the light dimmed. The shadows twisted back together, more furious than before, as if they had fed off the very essence of the heart. The ground beneath their feet began to split, a chasm threatening to swallow everything. "Run!" the figure screamed, but they felt rooted, like an anchor in a storm. The heart sang with rage and torment, vibrating against them as if still in battle. And then something shifted. Slowly, the whispers reformed into words clear as day. "You must go deeper to find the truth. Only then will the heart's curse be broken." In that breathtaking moment, they froze, catching the meaning behind the chaos. The heart they held was not merely a terrifying object of dread. It was also a key to an ancient knowledge buried deeper than the earth could hold, waiting for someone courageous enough to seek it out. The figure's face twisted with realization, mouth agape. "No, it's not that simple." It won't stop until but the shadows surged, gasping for revenge, the air thick with their resentment. The very ground trembled beneath them, echoing their greatest fears and memories. What if they are right? Doubt seeped into their core. The combined efforts of the darkness and that figure's warning were clashing with the pulse of the heart. What if they were meant to face whatever lay beyond, facing the darkness head-on? Questions reverberated in their mind, urgency clawing for answers. Should they plunge into the depths of despair or fight to free themselves? Suddenly, a whisper caught their breath, a secret they hoped would guide them through the darkness lay embedded within the heart. "It knows it will show you with renewed resolve." They tightened their grip, preparing to leap into the unseen. But as they turned to run deeper into the shadows, uncertainty tugged at their mind. Would they unravel the truth buried within or fall victim to the lurking horrors? The shadows hissed, waiting to claim their next victim, as the heart pulsated violently in unison. Would they be the savior or the doomed? The shadows coiled tighter around them, a living entity determined to drag them back into despair. As the heart pulsed vigorously in their grip, its energy seemed to bear down upon their very soul, urging them onward even as fear gnawed at their resolve. They took a deep breath, exhaling a shallow mist that hung in the frigid air. Could the heart truly hold the key to breaking the curse that loomed over them? With every step deeper into the darkness, their surroundings grew more twisted. Trees, once regal and majestic, now transformed into ghastly figures, their limbs reaching out like skeletal hands. The ground squelched beneath their feet, a morbid echo of every lost soul that had tread upon it. The figure beside them melted into the shadows, their warnings fading into a distant memory. What if they are right? They whispered to themselves, the words bitter on their tongue. The shadows tightened their grip, and the heart throbbed faster, almost as if feeding off their fear. Suddenly, a piercing shriek shattered the silence. It resonated deep within their chest, rattling bones and reaching into the pit of their stomach. Instinctively, they clutched the heart tight, feeling its warmth in the chill surrounding them. Keep moving. A voice broke through, confusingly familiar yet strained. Was it the figure trying to guide them, or someone lost among the shadows as well? Pushing forward, they stumbled over gnarled roots that snaked across the ground, clutching the heart like a talisman. With each pulse, the heart ignited memories, snippets of laughter, tears, love lost echoing through the fray. Each flicker painted the darkness with flashes of painful recognition. But then, a distinct shift. The whispers converged, a unified chant that swirled around them, urging, "You must descend." It was a command, a plea wrapped in urgency that pulled them deeper into the abyss. The air thickened, almost solidifying around them. In the distance, fragmented images began to materialize. Faces twisted in anguish, caught in some eternal torment. They could see eyes wide with terror, pleading for release. The heart pulsated, growing increasingly frantic, as if sensing the impending threat. "No," they cried. "I won't let this happen." But even as they uttered the words, doubt gnawed at their mind. The heart surged in reply, a jolt of energy coursing through them. It was a call to arms, a challenge to embrace the unknown. Then, from the depths of the shadows, a figure emerged, a silhouette wrapped in darkness, eyes gleaming like burning coals. It approached slowly, deliberately, the air crackling with a palpable tension. "It's too late," it hissed, voice dripping with malice. "You'll never escape what you've awakened." The ghastly figure raised an arm, revealing a hand that shimmered with a dark, ethereal glow, mirroring the heart's frantic rhythm. "What do you want?" they yelled. "What do you want from me?" The figure laughed, a hollow sound that echoed through the trees. "Despair is what binds us. You awaken it, and it will consume you. Join us or be destroyed." With a massive surge, the shadows lurched forward, ready to drag them into the depths of their own fears. But then the heart flared to life, sending a bolt of light through the darkness, blinding them momentarily. "It's not over." The vibrancy coursed through their veins, igniting a force they had not known they possessed. They stepped forward, ready to confront the truth even if it was laced with horrors beyond comprehension. The darkness recoiled, but the figure, relentless in its advance, seemed to grow stronger. As they stood on the precipice of revelation, the heart pulsing fiercely, a final thought ignited within them. Who was the true master of this curse? Would they emerge victorious, or would the shadows finally claim their due? The light burst forth, shocking the darkness as the heart glowed like a beacon, illuminating the twisted landscape around them. Shadows recoiled, but the figure's laughter echoed. It was a sound that scraped along their spine, threatening to unravel their determination. "Foolish child," the figure taunted, advancing with a predatory grace. "You don't understand. That heart is nothing but an echo of your own despair." The flames of the heart flickered, struggling against the overwhelming darkness that surged back at them like a tempest. Every instinct screamed at them to flee, but they clutched the heart tighter, its rhythm synchronizing with their heartbeat, a fierce declaration against the encroaching dread. They couldn't back down now, not when they felt the weight of countless souls pressing at their back, rising with a force that demanded freedom. "You think you can challenge me?" The figure's voice sliced through the air, oozing confidence. "You are merely a vessel. I feed upon your pain, your fears. Join with me, and I can ease your suffering." "No," they yelled, their voice raw with defiance. As the shadows pooled across the ground, tendrils snaked toward their feet, inching closer. They could feel the cold touch crawling up their legs, but the heart surged in response, a warm wave that shot through their body, combating the encroaching chill. "Become one with the night," The figure whispered, words wrapping around them like a cold embrace. Fragments of their past flickered around them, a friend's betrayal, a lost love, moments dripping with regret. Each memory rushed back, trying to drown them, to pull them into despair. Stop! You don't own me. The pulse of the heart resonated, pushing back against the wave of darkness. It fueled their will, igniting a fire within that burned brighter than the shadows. I am not just my pain. In that vulnerable moment, something unexpected happened. The shadowy figure paused, confusion flickering across its featureless face. It seemed as if it had anticipated yielding them into despair, never considering the fierce light they bore. Your defiance is intriguing, it mused, a hint of uncertainty creeping into its tone. But it will get you nowhere. The curse is ancient. It knows your deepest fears. A shadow lashed out, scraping against their skin, leaving a cold burn. They gasped but refused to back down. Instead, they concentrated, channeling the love and laughter that once filled them, memories ignited by the heart's warmth. This wasn't just a fight against darkness. It was a reclamation of all they had lost. I choose to remember, they declared, the light radiating from the heart amplifying their resolve. It flickered, pulsing faster, as if responding to their call, a heartbeat of hope laced with purpose. Then, the ground trembled beneath them, and the air crackled, thickening with tension. The very fabric of the darkness seemed to bend as the shadows writhed, restless and howling in dissonance. Release me, came an anguished cry from the depths, a plea as old as time. It wasn't just a struggle between them and the figure. It was a battle for every soul trapped in the shadows. Face yourself, they shouted, aiming the heart's light at the figure. The brightness pierced the gloom, forcing it to retreat. You're not my master. But the figure's shadow melted and twisted, forming an ominous whirlwind that gathered strength, growing ever larger. You think you can defy fate? You awaken the strongest of curses. Child, what you see is just the beginning. The heart pulsed furiously, intertwining with their own heartbeat, forging an indomitable bond against the darkness. Yet, deep inside, a chilling realization settled. If the figure was indeed correct, their true test was yet to come. As this truth dawned on them, the swirling shadows reached toward the heart, tendrils keen to snuff out its light. Stand firm, a voice yelled from within their mind, familiar and yet distant. You are more than your fears, with fury igniting their spirit. They yelled into the encroaching dark, ready to face whatever came next. Would the heart strengthen them? Or was it a mere illusion hiding a truth too terrible to bear? With darkness swirling around, an echo of laughter filled the air. But it was not just the figure any longer, it was a chorus that demanded an answer. Would they have the courage to reveal the painful truth lurking beneath their resolve? The shadows surged forward, writhing in a vortex of despair, as if the darkness itself had come alive, determined to extinguish the heart's fragile light. The figure, looming and omnipresent, melted deeper into that dark whirl, its laughter transforming into chilling howls. Face the truth, it bellowed, the voice becoming a crescendo of torment. What you hide will be your undoing. They staggered as memories flooded back, moments they buried deep within, festering like open wounds. Faces flickered in the darkness. A mother's worried gaze, a friend's unturned back, the whispers of betrayal echoing through the corridors of their mind. Each image struck harder than a fist, moments of failure unveiling their vulnerability. Enough! They squeezed the heart, feeling its warmth pulse rhythmically with defiance. You don't own me. But the shadows laughed, a cacophony of misery that reverberated in their ears. You can't deny what you've done. You are nothing without your pain. It was true, they had faced loss, had wallowed in guilt, and had felt the weight of despair. Yet, gripping the heart tighter, they found clarity in the chaos. I am not just my mistakes. I am more. With that powerful affirmation, the heart responded. A brilliant light exploded from its core, shooting outwards, forcing back the shadows like waves receding from a relentless tide. The very air shimmered and crackled, the world tilting on its axis. Where did you find that light? The figure yelled, tension splintering its icy demeanor. "You're just a damaged vessel." Before they could answer, the heart's brightness pierced the whirlwind of anguish. It was a light that sliced through fog and pain, shimmering with the collective hope of all those lost in the dark. Each heartbeat was a reminder. They weren't just one person fighting for survival, they were a chorus of souls demanding freedom. The ground trembled beneath them once more, the fight escalating into a cataclysm. The being, unraveling in disbelief, fought to hold itself together, but the light tightened its grasp, configuring reality itself. "You cannot win. The curse holds strength beyond your understanding." "Maybe," they gasped, feeling the strain, "but I will fight." The heart throbbed with urgency, sending radiant waves through the air, an ethereal song laced with the voices of the lost. It was giving them strength, fortifying their spirit, and directing all the love and pain into something powerful. Just as doubt threatened to creep back in, they remembered something vital. It wasn't merely about them. This was a symphony of broken pieces joining together, a collective rebellion against the suffocating dark. "No, we are stronger together," they shouted, rallying the lost spirit's strength. With a final surge of will, they launched the heart's light towards the figure, a blazing spear aimed straight for its inky heart. The figure howled, the darkness recoiling, fraying at the edges under the assault of newfound hope. "You think this ends here? You're merely awakening the sleeping beast of your past." The air thickened, vibrating like a taut string ready to snap, leaving them breathless. Shadows twisted and screeched, their form shattering under the intensity of the glowing heart. But as the figure dissolved into darkness, that piercing laugh rang out once more, lingering and echoing. "Your truth will find you. You cannot escape what is buried deep within." The darkness collapsed into itself, leaving a swirling fog that enveloped them. Silence engulfed the landscape, but the echo of uncertainty remained. Were they truly free, or had they merely pushed the darkness deeper? As they stood alone in that dizzying silence, the flickering light of the heart cast eerie shadows around them, and a single thought wormed into their mind. What would come back to haunt them? The ground beneath trembled again, but not from fear. No, it felt like a heartbeat. What if this was just the beginning of a much larger reckoning? A soft light began to seep through the trees as dawn approached, its gentle fingers stretching out to embrace the gloom of the night. The echoes of the previous chaos subsided, replaced by the rhythmic chirping of birds that heralded a new day. In the clearing, the figure stood, trembling but resolute, heart still pulsating with an energy that felt unlike anything they had ever known. The grave, once a daunting reminder of despair, now looked peaceful, bathed in the morning light. The shadows that had once loomed with menace had dwindled, retreating like a bad dream upon waking. A weight lifted from their chest as they breathed in the chill morning air, tinged with the earthy scent of life. "We did it," they whispered, voice barely audible but laced with incredulity. "We faced it." A rush of warmth washed over them, the heart in their hands settling into a steady rhythm, as if in acknowledgement of their courage. Every burden, every fear they had held was an integral part of their journey. They realized that in confronting the darkness, they had reclaimed their truth. As they looked around, the remnants of the past no longer felt oppressive. Those who once sought to bind them were silent now, their whispers replaced by the crisp clarity of the dawn. From the depths of their heart, clarity flourished. It was not just about conquering the dark shadows of their past, but embracing every fragment that made them whole. And then they heard it. Soft footsteps crunched through the underbrush. Another figure emerged. This time it wasn't a shadow cloaked in torment, but a living being, a familiar face that broke through the haze like a lighthouse piercing a storm. "You survived?" the figure gasped, eyes wide with disbelief and relief. "Yeah," they smiled, a real, unguarded smile that spoke volumes. "I found the truth." It wasn't easy, but the words trailed off as the other figure caught the heart's glow, realization dawning. "Did you unlock it? Did you discover what was buried here?" "I think I did," the figure replied, but their gaze drifted to the grave as if seeking connection with those that had been lost. "But I need to share it. They deserve that." No longer tethered by fear, they stepped closer to the ancient tree that stood tall, a silent sentinel bearing witness to every tale. They could feel it. The whispers from the tombstones no longer sounded like cries of despair, but rather like songs waiting to be sung. Together with the new figure by their side, they began to speak. Every soul has a story, they recounted, words spilling forth as warmth filled the clearing. We all faced shadows, but from that darkness we pull strength. Together, we can illuminate the secrets hidden within these woods. We can bring their stories to light. The sun now rose higher, its golden rays breaking through the canopy, illuminating the clearing with renewed energy. The shadows of the past were fading into memory, overwhelmed by the sheer force of hope and resilience. In that moment, the figure realized that this was more than survival. It was a promise, a shared mission to honor all who dared to wander these woods and never returned. They would recount the tales, shine light on the losses, and bring solace to the restless spirits that had not yet found peace. Let us remember them. Let us tell their stories, they declared, the phrase ringing a sense of purpose in the still air. And as they spoke, the heart pulsed, radiant and steady, connecting the living with the dead, bridging the gap between the known and the unknown. As the morning faded into full day, the woods transformed. Vibrant hues emerged, a tapestry of life that thrived amid the shadows, a reminder that light could break through even the darkest of nights. Arm in arm, they walked toward the exit of the thicket, leaving behind the remnants of fear. It was time to share their tale and bring courage back to those still lost, behind every shadow yearning for the dawn. And as they stepped into the day, the figure's heart thrummed loudly, an anthem of survival, resilience, and an unyielding belief that every story, marked by loss or triumph, deserves to be told. Now is your moment. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on the next exclusive stories unfolding right before your eyes. Smash the like button now and let the algorithm know you're here to support. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. They matter. And for your friends who crave this thrilling journey, be sure to instantly share this video with at least 5 of them. Don't wait even one more second to show your undying support for the channel.